What? Why did my camera just disconnect? What? Wake up! What? Give me 1 second. Right when I switched. Hello? Turn back on. Okay. It's gonna be one of those days, huh? Alright. You know what? Or Elemental, you are in chat, which means it's time for me to open up Steam. And I will at least buy, what is it called? Stars and Time? Time and Stars? I will buy it right now. But I will not play it right now. You gotta give me some warning, buddy. Let's see. Time. Come on. Computer's a little... 500 years. That good, huh? Was there a specific game that was on my list that made you think of it? Or is it just a game you particularly like? I can't remember when you first brought it up, but I do know you have mentioned it on stream before. Oh, come on. Just a bunch of RPG Maker? Okay, that's fair. I am a pretty big sucker for freeware types of games. What is it actually called? It's something in time, right? Time. Time. In the stars and time. Okay. Time. $19. All right, you know what that means. You gotta take out a crisp 20 and wipe your butt with it, flush it down the toilet, and I'll get it someday. Probably. Yeah, mail it to Twitch headquarters and say this is for Shisho in lab. Only got 100? Woof. I don't want you to waste your money. Okay. I am buying it now. And we will maybe play it sometime. Go back to Lurk. Alright, it has been bought. I will not install it right now, though. I will install it later. That's fine. Today, I don't know what we're doing. I was gonna do some art, but I was like, you know what? Before that, I kind of just want to do whatever. Your shilling has worked. Also, you know what? I keep talking about it. I think I'm gonna buy a new processor soon. So maybe once I get a new processor, we'll see if Limbus actually can open up someday. No guarantees about a stream for Limbus, but I just I'll try and check to see if I can open it up off stream. See if that makes any difference. Just bought Limbus merch? You always buy Limbus merch, don't you? You guys like the moody Persona 5 BGM? It has rain sound effects. What kind of merch did you buy? Show me picture. Is it on your Twitter? What kind of merch did you buy? Eco bag? Nice. Man, everybody's like really into Dispatch lately. And isn't it being nominated for some kind of game awards? What's the deal with it? Why does it look like Invincible? Is it actually a good game, or is it just like a trendy game for the moment? Really? I don't think I'll play it, but maybe I guess I'll have to watch somebody else play it. you're like a superhero dispatcher, right? And you can romance them, and if you like mess up, some of them will become villains. Is that the gist of it? Years ago, when I used to ride the bus, I would listen to this song a lot in the morning. On the morning bus ride for my moody music. They're villains. Wait, are they all villains? Interesting. You know what I kind of wanted to do first, actually, while I was kind of waiting for people to file in? Villains turning over a new leaf. I was like, you know, it's been so long. I kind of wanted to read some creepypasta on stream. Actually, I've never read them on stream, but I used to read them all the time. I feel like when I was in college and I was starting to get into scary things, that's how I was like getting into creepypasta. And then eventually I was like, okay, I'm done with creepypasta. I guess I'll read actual novels now. And that's when I started reading a bunch of actual scary books. What should we read? I kind of want to read a shitty one. A shitty one first. Do you know how into creepypastas I was, though? Have you ever heard of the creepypasta Pen Pal? I actually bought the book the guy ended up writing, because he ended up writing a couple of related creepypasta ones. Hold on, I forget the author's name. Let me look it up. Pen Pal, creepypasta novel. Dathan Auerbach. You know, I like it actually. I still kind of like it. It's a very short novel. He kind of tightens up the story. Creepypastas, piss your pants, yeah. But see, like, a lot of them are really stupid. A lot of creepypastas. Okay, here's the thing. I was never into like. There's only like one video game creepypasta that ever really did it for me, and it was like the Godzilla one. I feel like a lot of the ones based on like video games and TV don't really do it. Oh, I used to, have you ever like listened to the creepypasta podcast or like those, narrations? I think it was even before podcasts were a big thing, was I used to listen to a couple people do narrations on YouTube, but I think they all have podcasts now. Ruby Max? Not familiar with that one. Are those game characters? They sound really familiar. Oh no, oh, it's the bunny people. Yeah, I can't remember which ones I used to listen to a little bit. This was like, you know, goddamn 15 years ago. I also was never into, I never got that into SCPs. I did try to listen to an SCP podcast a couple years ago, just to, learn a little bit more about them. Because you think that it would be like, I feel like, you know, it's a little bit more structured. Yeah, I feel like people who are into like Limbus and Lobotomy Corp would be into SCP because it has a very similar vibe. It's kind of like creepypasta, but there's a little bit more structure to it. And then, oh my god, Homestuck. Oh, don't get me started. I still remember, like, I think one of the first creepypasta things I listened to that was good was like the one about like, I think it's like the endless stairs or something. Oops, let me fix my camera keeps moving around. Let me put it somewhere. Yeah, I guess it I didn't know that they actually used the word SCP in like the ad or something. I don't know. Yeah, No Sleep is they're basically just creepypastas. It's just its own like subreddit for it, right? I don't think there's like any actual distinction between that. Do you guys have any like favorite good ones or favorite bad ones? That I was thinking about just going for like Jeff the Killer, because even back when I was like, you know, cringy 18, 20-year-old, I thought Jeff the Killer was stupid. I will say one of my favorites though of all time is I like the Anansi Goatman. I like that one. And there's a really good narration of it on YouTube. I can't remember who does the narration of it that I like. So this is not going to be like a very serious narration necessarily. This is just me goofing around. It watched in the roof? Oh. Yeah, it's been so long since I read any. I'm sure there's a lot of good ones now. Let's see, which one was the one I liked? Was it Mr. Creepypasta? I don't know. The thing about like the branding for all these like creepypasta readers is they all have very similar names. You know, they're all like Creeps McPasta or Creepy Kisaragi Station. Yeah. I feel like everybody knows that. There's a Japanese what creepypasta kind of like podcaster and translator that I like, Kawabana. So if you like Japanese creepypasta, she's an Australian who lived in Japan for a number of years. She has a website where she has some of the stories translated. I actually thought about, oh my god, on my YouTube channel very long ago, there's my own one Japanese story of my own attempt to translate a story. Because even though she does have some translations on her website, I felt like it'd be weird to like use her translations without permission, because she's also running her own like podcast narration and sometimes book publishing. Let me see, what is the... Where is it? Pause the video. The one that I did on my channel ages ago was Yamanoke? Because that one used to scare me when I was younger. Do you guys know that? It's not a very popular one, I think. And I think I heard about Yamanoke from Saya in Underworld. If you guys remember, you know, if you're really into Japanese creepypasta, you might know Saya in Underworld. Yamanoke, it's like, it's not a very long one either. It's like a dad and his daughter driving on the countryside or the mountains, and car breaks down and they see a freaky thing. You want me to read it now? You want me to find my translation? I don't know where it is. I don't know where my script is, guys. Live reading? Okay, let me find it. Sorry, it'll take me a second to like open up Microsoft Word and try to find my translation. Because like I said, that one has been translated by a couple of people, but I also had, you know, just for my own sake, I decided to try my hand at translating it. There were a couple others that I translated that I thought about reading as well, but I just kept putting it off because I wanted to like change up my graphics and stuff. Like I was gonna read some of the, I think I had some translations somewhere of like the Kune Kune, like the OG Kune Kune, and maybe a couple of the other Kune Kune stories. Oh my god, this is Microsoft Word. Where the hell would it be? Yamanoke. Oh, here it is. Let's see. And I tried to, let's see, I did the narration, or I did the translation, and then I think I tried to like tighten it up to make it more, a little bit better translation for narration purposes. All right. Let me take a little sippy of water and then we'll get going. And there might be like a couple of small mistakes, because like I said, this is my own attempt at translating, and I'm not like a strong translator. This story is called Yamanoke, or Tenso Metsu. My own translation. Copyright me, and probably Ni-chan. A story from a week ago. I went for a drive with my daughter. We were driving along an everyday mountain road, and on the way, we had dinner at a drive-in. I wanted to scare her, so I took an unpaved side road. But rather, her calm demeanor was just as amusing, and we continued along the path. But then, unexpectedly, the engine shut off. We were deep in the mountains, so I had no cell phone service. But I don't know anything about cars, so my daughter and I were at a complete loss. It would have taken hours to walk back to the drive-in we dined at. With no other options, I decided we would sleep in the car overnight and walk back to the drive-in in the morning. While we were staving off the cold inside the car, it became night. You have no cell phone where you are? Ooh. I hope it's nighttime. Well, it's dark for me anyways. It's not that late. It's 8 o'clock, but it's pitch black at 4 o'clock for me now. The mountains at night are completely silent, except for the occasional rustling of wind through the trees. Steadily, time passed, and my daughter fell asleep in the passenger seat. Time for sleep, I thought, and closed my eyes. Then I heard something. It's creepy to recall now, but I don't know if it's a voice or just a noise. But it sounded like it was repeating, "Ten, so, met." At first, I kept my eyes closed, trying to convince myself I was mishearing it. But the sound seemed to be getting progressively closer, and I couldn't help but open my eyes. When I did, I saw something white and smooth, moving bizarrely as it drew closer to the car. The shape was Jamila from Ultraman, a silhouette without a head, and only one leg. It approached us, as if it was hopping on one foot, waving its arms crazily, making its whole body a shaky blur. I was so frightened. I wanted to scream, but for some reason, I had the weird thought I mustn't wake my daughter up. I couldn't scream or run away. Here, I'll put a picture of Jamila on the screen. For me, I always think of, who the heck is this? Some singer? Ultraman. I always think of, whenever I hear the story, I always think of, like, Hitmonlee. Jamila. Yeah, I guess it would be the feminine form of Jamil from Twisted Wonderland. Image, browser, make source. Okay. Let's put him behind me. Get behind me. See what I mean? He doesn't have like a neck. No neck up, just face on the torso. Which, like I said, I'm pretty sure that's a Hitmonlee. That's how Hitmonlee's body is shaped too. The thing kept coming steadily closer, but it appeared to be passing the car. As it went past, I could hear the "hen so metsu." The sound grew distant. When I turned around, I couldn't see it anymore. So relieved, I turned to my daughter, and there it was, outside the passenger window. Up close, I could see that it did have a face on its chest, even though I thought it didn't have a head. Hold on, I'm gonna put up a picture of it, because you guys aren't gonna get how scary it looks. I think it has been featured in some manga and stuff too. Let's see. Copy image link. Because this picture's not making it look scary. You guys have to see what it looked like. Here, I'll move over. Wait. Tensou Metsu. I have to move myself this way. Oh, also I forgot that this is... Why is this cut off? Hello? Spooky? That's what I think. 10. Sorry, I can't. I'm not very clear with my pronunciation. Tensou Metsu. It smiled at me with this horrifying, wide grin that I don't want to recall. I was beyond scared, and seeing it so close to my daughter made my anger boil over. I shouted, "You bastard!" As soon as I shouted, it disappeared, and my daughter sprung up. Thought I had startled her by shouting. I tried to apologize until she muttered, It got inside. It got inside." Over and over. Oh, this is bad, I thought. Had to try something to get us out of there. Tried the engine again, and it started up. I hurried back the way I came, my daughter still mumbling beside me. Sped off, trying to get to a place with people as soon as possible. It was a relief when the light of the town came into view, but my daughter's mumbling, "It got in," it changed to Tensou Metsu. And her face was changed to something unlike my daughter. Although, I can't take her home in this state, so I rushed into a temple that caught my attention. It was the middle of the night, but I saw a light on next to the temple where the head priest might live. I pulled my daughter behind me and rang the doorbell. A man who looked like the head priest came out. When he saw my daughter, he asked, "What have you done?" When I told him I drove to the mountains and saw a strange thing, he looked disappointed. For my peace of mind, he chanted sutras and hit my daughter's shoulders and back. Head priest asked me to stay the night. Since I was worried about my daughter, I agreed to stay. My daughter was possessed by a Yamanoke, according to the head priest. If her condition persists for 49 days, she will never recover and stay like this her entire life. The priest said to keep this from happening, he would look after my daughter and somehow try to expel the Yamanoke. I called my wife, and with the priest's help, somehow convinced her of the events that took place. The priest told me if I had gone home in that state, it's likely my wife would have been possessed by the Yamanoke too. The Yamanoke possesses women, and until the Yamanoke is completely expelled, my wife cannot meet with our daughter. It's been a week, and my daughter's still with the priest. I go visit her every day, but she doesn't seem like my daughter anymore. She smiles at me widely and looks at me with an indescribable look in her eye. I want my daughter to return to me as soon as possible. Please, don't go to the mountains for a laugh. So, that's the story. It's pretty short. I don't know why. This one always scared me. Maybe it's because I saw this image or a similar one. But yeah, the author, narrator, compares it to Jamila. I compare it to Hitmonlee. But some of the notes that I found when I was doing research on this one, compare it to a yokai called Ippon Datara, or Hitotsu Datara, a one-eyed, one-legged yokai in the mountains of Kumano. Okay, I wasn't a fourth grader at least. I was at least, I don't know, maybe I was in high school when I read this one. So maybe it's a god, maybe yokai, something like that. And, you know, the characters for it, Yamano of the mountain, and K is kind of like for like a yokai kind of thing. The meaning of Tensou Metsu, though, they actually do, some of the notes do address the possible meaning. Possibly 10, like, they say movement or fall. So, like operate, manipulate, puppet, Metsu, destroy, probably. So, another thing that I thought was interesting was like the 49 days, because, you know, it kind of reminds me of like the Buddhist tradition, 49 days of mourning, for example. Let me see if I have the other ones. If they look good enough to read. Did I translate all of these? Oh, here's another one that I think I translated, but I don't think I did a video of. I also like the story of Square. It has another name. I always forget the other name for it. What is the other name? Square Sama. One Night in the Cabin. I think it's also the basis of like the first Persona game that I've never played. Hello, welcome, Feather. Let's see, where's the image? We can hide that, so you guys don't get traumatized. Let me take a look. What other ones do I have? Did I translate this one? I have no memory of this one. This is very short, but I don't remember it at all. Ushi no Kubi? Here, let's read this one. I don't remember this one at all. Peed your pants? That's what I told you. This stream would have you crying, shitting, and pitting. Guaranteed. Okay, this is gonna be a surprise for me because I have no memory of this story. Ushi no Kubi, or the bull's head. What's the scariest story? Well-known authority on occult matters, T enjoyed introducing people to his scary stories. When he finishes his story, he is often asked this question. I know a great number of scary stories, but when it comes to the scariest, well, that's certainly something I'm curious about. Wholeheartedly, T traveled not just around Japan, but flew around globally, spending all his time collecting scary stories to determine which is the scariest. After many years had passed, he contacted his good friend O. He said he had finally obtained the scariest story ever. The title of the story is Ushi no Kubi, the bull's head. However, the story is cursed, and the only thing you can do is tell it firsthand to another person within 3 days. When 3 days have passed, and if you tell the story non-orally, it is said misfortune will befall those who know the story. If you listen to this, you will be cursed as well. But will you listen to the story? Will thought about rejecting, but his curiosity won out, and he promised to meet T. The next day, O waited for T at the coffee shop they planned to meet at. He never came. T went missing, and his whereabouts and safety are still unknown. That's the end of the story. Yeah, it's kind of what is the word? The chainmail, right? It's kind of a chainmail kind of story. You never get to hear what the actual story is. It's just like, oh, it's so scary, and you'll be cursed if you hear it. There's a couple stories like that from Nichan, which are like, haha, I tricked you and I told you the story that'll curse you. Now you have to tell people or you'll be cursed. No wonder I don't remember this one. I don't think it's that scary. I have a couple of Kune Kune stories. Did I translate all of these? What the heck? I have no memory of any of these. Kune Kune to Ukoku Zentai Akai Nazo no Sonzai. There's a couple of like Akai Kune Kune, Kuroi Kune Kune, Classic Kune Kune. Here, I'll read you guys Classic Kune Kune. My translation, copyright me. Just kidding, it's bad. This occurred when I returned to my grandmother's family home in Akita. I arrived at my grandmother's home, which I only visited once a year for a bone festival, and immediately went outside to play with my older brother. Unlike the city, the country air is so fresh. As I was enjoying the refreshing breeze, I ran around the rice paddies with my brother. Just as the sun was above our heads, approaching midday, the wind suddenly stopped. I probably should have put on spooky music, but I don't feel like it. We got 10 hours of this, this song. As I noticed this, an unpleasantly warm breeze picked up. Ah, it's already so hot. Why is such a hot wind blowing now too? I complained, in a grumpy mood now that the refreshing breeze was stolen away. My brother had been looking off in a different direction. There was a scarecrow in that direction. What's wrong with that scarecrow? I asked my brother. My brother replied, no, over there, as his stare became more intense. I was curious, so I stared across the rice paddies as well, and then I saw it. What is that? It was too far away, so I couldn't make out what it was, but there was a human-sized white object twisting and swaying around. Furthermore, it was alone in the paddies. There were no people nearby. I instantly felt strange and tried to come up with an explanation. That thing must be some kind of new scarecrow. Surely. Well, now there haven't been any moving scarecrows, so a farmer or someone must have thought this up. Or maybe it was the wind making it move. My brother looked satisfied by my straightforward explanation, but that expression disappeared in an instant. The wind had suddenly stopped. However, that white object was still twisting and swaying around. Hey! It's still moving. What the hell is that thing? My brother said in a shocked voice. He was so fascinated, he returned home and returned to the site with binoculars. He looked so excited and said, "Take a look first. You can wait a bit," and brought the binoculars to his eye. As he looked through, his face suddenly changed. His face became pale and broke out into a profuse sweat. Schmooves? Is this a story of the Shmoone Shmoone? I was frightened by his transformation and asked, "What is it?" My brother answered slowly, "You're better off not knowing." The voice wasn't my brother's. Insteadly, he made his way back home. What's a Shmoone Shmoone? That's a good question. It's a kune kune that's got schmooves, I guess. I thought I would try to look at the white thing that made my brother turn pale. Picked up the fallen binoculars. Perhaps, because of my brother's words, I didn't have the courage to look at that thing. But I was still curious. From the distance, it looked like a strange white thing that wriggled around. It was a little strange, but it didn't frighten me. But my brother... I have to look. I have to see for myself what kind of thing could make my brother so frightened. I held up the binoculars and tried to take a look. At that moment, my grandfather came running out, looking very flustered. Before I could ask what's wrong, my grandfather rushed towards me. "Don't look at that white thing! Did you see it? Did you look through those binoculars?" No, not yet," I said, surprised. "Thank goodness." He replied in relief and broke down in tears. I was sent back home without understanding what happened. When I returned home, everyone was crying. Crying for me? No. When I looked more, I saw my brother alone, laughing, like a mad... Wait, hold on. Sorry, I lost my place. When I looked more, I saw my brother alone, laughing like mad, wriggling around, like that wriggling white thing. I was more terrified at seeing my brother like that than the white thing in the patties. On the day we returned home, my grandmother told me this. It'll be easier for everyone if your brother remains here. It's more cramped back home. And if you consider the public, it won't be more than a few days until... Just leave him here. And in a number of years, it'll be best if we release him into the rice paddies. When I heard those words, I cried loudly. The brother I knew was no more. Even if I visit him next year, it won't be him anymore. Why has it come to this? Until just before, we were just playing together, and now... Why? I frantically wiped my tears, got in the car, and left my grandparents' home. While my grandparents were waving at us, I saw my brother, who had completely changed. For just a moment, waved his hand at me. As we pulled away to get a look at at my brother's face, I looked through the binoculars. My brother was definitely crying. His expression was still smiling, but until now, I had never seen my brother cry. It was the first and last time I would see that sad smile on his face. And as we turned the corner, I could no longer see my brother's face. But I kept looking through those binoculars as tears streamed down my face. Someday, things will return to normal, I thought, remembering my brother's former self while looking at the expansive green rice paddy. And as I looked out the binoculars, reminiscing on my memories of my brother, it happened. I saw up close the thing you shouldn't look at. Dun dun dun. But I guess he was fine. You know, he just gets to go back home. Meanwhile, his brother's gonna be released into the rice paddies as like a mystery thing. Kune Kune itself just means like a little kind of like twisty, wriggly thing. Oh. Alright. I had a couple others, but they aren't as good, so. I actually really like the Kune Kune story, but even reading that, again, one of the hard things about like translations is like, it's actually, even though I really like that story, it's not written the best. So I feel like especially translating it into English, there's points where like I really wanted to like change how the writing was, but I was like, well, I don't want to like change it grammatically too much. You know what I mean? But there's points where I felt it could have just been written a lot better. So it's kind of amazing that it became as popular as it is. But I like it, and it's actually not the first Kune Kune story, I think. I think that's the most popular, but I think the first one is actually a lot more vague, and I think it's like in the mountains. Showing off my paranormal expertise this stream. I always feel really awkward when I try to speak Japanese on stream. I don't know why. I get really nervous. Yeah, I think it's Western creepypasta time. I kind of want to read Jeff the Killer to start. And I'll also take, if you guys have SCP suggestions too. Just because I want to see how bad Jeff the Killer is. Nande? I don't know what, I feel like, but I think this is also just true of like streaming in general, where it's very awkward to do in English at first too. I think I would just have to do it in Japanese a couple of times. Or like even when I do like, when I say like certain Digimon names that like I've never said aloud, I don't know why, I get really nervous and I feel like I start doubting myself. Also, my Japanese is very bad right now. I should study. Let's see. Is this the real Jeff the Killer story? Is this the original? Why does it have 9.6 out of 10 stars, huh? Excerpt from local newspaper. I'm kidding. I shouldn't add misspellings. Tensai desu ka? I'm not even a tensai in English. Eigo demo tensai janayo. Mr. Jeffy Poo. Newspaper. No. I shouldn't add misspellings because there might be misspellings in here. Except from a local newspaper. Ominous unknown killer still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. Ego Joju. I don't think I'm even Jozu at Ego. I think I'm just doing my best, okay? I was gonna say, what is Four Elemental's Japanese name? Would I just call him Four Elemental, or would I translate it, or do I just call him Limbus-san, Limbus Sensei? I think I would just call him John Limbus still. What do you think? Limbus Sensei. Actually, that was a funny thing, is a long time ago when I was like high school to college-y, you know, I had like a username that I use on most of my like online accounts, you know, Tumblr, Twitter, DeviantArt, whatever. But even though I still kind of like it, elementary, that's fine too. I'll call you John Limbus. You'll always be John Limbus to me. Limbus Sensei. But yeah, even though like, I think I've mentioned before, but I studied Japanese from when I was in middle school, so quite young compared to a lot of people. A lot of people don't get to study until they're in like college or something. That's an earned title? Yeah. Force-on. That just makes me think of Gundam, though. Can be a sexy cyber new type lady. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but my online username for a long time was like, I don't know why. It was not one that also... Mine was like yours, where it didn't really translate very well into Japanese. Like, it sounded too English. So, whenever I used to start, like, interacting with, like, Japanese fandoms, I would be like, okay, you can just call me this instead. Because it just was, like, not a very... cyber new types. They're not really, like... They're not cyborgs. They just have, like... I don't know, they're just like genetically altered or something to make them slightly psychic. Anyways, excuse me, there's a killer at large. I had a bad dream, and when I woke up in the middle of the night, says the boy, I saw that for some reason, the window was open. Even then, I remember it being closed before I went to bed. Got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling someone was watching me. Jeff the Killer? You think, what if Jeff the Killer is French Canadian? I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There in the little ray of light, illuminating from between the curtains, were a pair of two eyes. They weren't regular eyes, they were dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered in black. Just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth. A long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, and watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. Simple phrase, but said in a way only a madman could speak. He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. I jumped on top of my bed, fought him back. I kicked, I punched, I rolled around trying to knock him off me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife. It went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if one of my neighbors hadn't alerted the police. Yeah, you think Jeff the Killer? I guess he does kind of have like a traditional Japanese, like a woman ghost kind of onryo kind of. He's got the long hair. Does he, I don't know, is his shirt white? Does he have like a long white shirt perhaps? They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door of parking lot. Do you live at a shopping center? The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash like glass breaking. As I came out of my room, I saw the window that was pointing toward the back of my house was broken. I looked out to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing. I will never forget that face. Those cold, evil eyes and that psychotic smile never leave my head. Police are still looking for the man. If you see anyone that fits that description, contact your local police department. Scene change. Jeff and his family just moved into a new neighborhood. His dad had gotten a promotion at work, and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother, Lou, couldn't complain though. New better house. Well, what was not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of their neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. "I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you. Well, just wanted to introduce myself and introduce my son." She turns around and calls her son over. "Billy, these are your new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran back to his playground. "Well," said Jeff's mom, "I'm Margaret. This is my husband Peter, and my two sons, Jeff and Lou. I've never... Is Jeff and his brother Chinese? I didn't realize Lou is spelled L-I-U. I'm not very familiar with that spelling." Is that a common? Huh. Weird. Did not remember that. They each... Yeah, L-I-U. That's how his brother's name is spelled. I'm pronouncing it Lou. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be, or if this guy doesn't know how to spell Lou, or if they chose a Chinese spelling of the name. They each introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday. Jeff and his brother were about to object when their mother said they would love to. When Jeff and his family are done packing, Jeff went up to his mom. Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat? Oh, no wonder. So Jeff's like the mild one in the family. He's kind of like the loser kid, right? "Mom, why did you invite us to some kid's birthday party? You haven't noticed I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," said his mother, "we just moved here. We should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now, we're going to that party and that's a final." Isn't he like 15 or something? Jeff started to talk but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mom said something, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at the ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. I feel like even when I was 15, my parents weren't like signing me up to go to like the neighbors' birthdays. That's a bit much. Especially like people you just met. Like that's a lot. Next day, Jeff walked downstairs to get breakfast and got ready for school. As he sat there eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain, but he once again dismissed it. As he and Lou had the finished breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus. And then all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches above their laps. They both jumped back in surprise. Hey, what the hell? Oh man. Oh, this is way longer than I thought. Well, I kind of knew it was long. That's fine. He had landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it with his hands. The kid seemed to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. Jeff's 13! Are you kidding me? He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans. Well, 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 looks like we got some fresh meat. Suddenly, 2 other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other was huge. Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith. Jeff and Lou looked over at the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect a sidekick to have. Yeah, here are my goons. And he's Troy. They looked over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. Looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. And I, said the first kid, am Randy. Uh-oh. Now, for all the kids in this neighborhood, there's a small price for bus fare if you catch my drift. I love comical, like, middle school or high school villains. Lou stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes, when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I had hoped you'd be more cooperative, but it seems we must do this the hard way. Kid walked up to Lou and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. I keep thinking... Now, it was truly strong, a burning sensation. He stood up, but Lou gestured him to sit down. Jeff ignored and walked up to the kid. Maybe this is crass, but I keep thinking, like, given the fact that he's like a teenager, whenever they say he got that feeling, I keep thinking like, oh, this is his first boner. He's going through puberty. He's giving in to the gay feelings. Yeah, like, I've read a fair amount of, like, yeah, Deep in His Loins, that's right. I've read a fair amount of, like, Stephen King. And, like, Stephen King novels, Stephen King bullies are also, like, they accelerate the violence very quickly. And also sometimes the sexual assault. And, like, I don't know, man, like, yeah, some bullies in real life are pretty violent or might sexually assault people, but I don't know. I feel like bullies are very hard to write in a convincing manner. I feel like, I don't know. There definitely are bullies like that, but I feel like for most of life, it's just like people kind of like constantly like, it's more like little things that just add up. Like people just constantly like kind of ragging on you at school and stuff, or like excluding you. You remember your first boner? That's crazy. What? That's a crazy thing to say. Listen here, you little punk. Give my bro's wallet. Sorry, I can't read. Listen here, you little punk. Give back my bro's wallet or else. Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. Yeah, you know what? That might be part of the problem is like, I think there's like a lot of types of bullies that aren't like super goofy like this, but it's more like Like, I remember some of the kids in school who were bullied kind of hard. And, like, yeah, a lot of them weren't exactly the kind of people I wanted to be friends with either, because they were just, like, really weird. And sometimes it was just because they had, like, some kind of, like, you know, problems at home or some kind of disorder. Sometimes it's just because the kids getting bullied were also just weird jerks. Sometimes it was just, like, not really fitting in with autism or something like that. But, like, you know, it wasn't necessarily like people were, like, shoving them or pulling knives on them or anything. It was more like they were just constantly, like, needling at them. And like I said, because these people, the people they bullied, weren't very likable either, it was like, I get why, you know, not everybody realizes that they're the villain in somebody else's story. Like, I've had people who were not so good to me, but I think there were also times where, like, I remember somebody who I wasn't so good to either. And it wasn't like I was intentionally trying to be mean to her. It was just more like, I don't know. It was more like just everything that came out of my mouth just seemed kind of mean. I don't know why. Oh, what will you do? Just as he finishes the sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed, and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach and went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Lou could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. Yeah, what the hell? But it's also like, the fact that these are like 13-year-olds is like, I don't know, it would be impressive, but there's nothing impressive about watching like 12 or 13-year-olds fight. You know what I mean? Jeff, how did you? Was all he said. They saw the bus coming and knew they'd get blamed for the whole thing. So they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Lou made it to school, they didn't dare tell what happened. They still went to school? All they did was sit and listen. Lou just thought of his brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling, he felt how powerful it was, and the urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like how it sounded, but couldn't help feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away, and stay away for the entire day. Even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop, and now he probably wouldn't be taking the bus anymore. He felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said in a somewhat ominous voice, "It was a wonderful day." Next morning, he heard a knock on his front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at the door, his mother looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers tell me you attacked 3 kids, that it wasn't a regular fight, and that they were stabbed. Stabbed, son!" Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. "Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Lou." "Son," said one of the cops, "we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, and 1 having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now, what does that tell us?" Jeff knew it was no use. He could say him and Lou have been attacked, but there was no proof it was not them who attacked first. They couldn't say they weren't fleeing because, truth be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Lou. "Son, call down your brother." Jeff couldn't do it since he was the one who beat up all the kids. Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Lou tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me. Hop looked at his partner and they both nod. Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie. I guess I'm the judge in this town. Wait, says Lou. They all looked up to see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked on Lou. It was me. I beat up those little punks. Have the marks to prove it. Lifted up his sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises as if he were in a struggle. Son, just put the knife down, said the officer. Lou held up the knife, dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. No, Lou, it was me. I did it. Jeff had tears running down his face. A stomach bruise. Oh, these kids. Goofy, goofy world. You know, if somebody does pull a knife on you, that is a weird thing of like, you know, I'm not saying that you should like let yourself get mugged or stabbed, but you know, you're also kind of escalating it by stabbing somebody. By stabbing two people. Huh, poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away. Police led Lou out to the patrol car. Lou, tell them it was me. Tell them I was the one who beat up those kids. Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders. How old did I think the author was? 13. Exactly the same age as Jeff. Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it's Lou. You can stop. Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car speeds off with Lou inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulls into the driveway, seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong. I like how they're just like, well, he says he did it. 1 year juvie. Take him away. Son, what is it? Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were straining from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him as Jeff wept in the driveway. He's kind of a crybaby, huh? After an hour or so, Jeff walked back into the house. He just cried in the driveway the entire time? I think his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought of Lou when it was his fault. He just went to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off his mind. 2 days went by. No word from Lou at JDC. What is that, the Juvenile Detention Center? No friends to hang out with. Nothing but sadness and guilt. That is, until Saturday, when Jeff was woken up by his mother with a happy, sunshiny face. No, I don't know. I mean, I feel like even for 13-year-olds, this is kind of lame. The real question I wonder is like, do you think that like this kid was actually like playing out? Do you think it was like, do you think he was bullied and just kind of fantasizing about revenge? Or do you think he was just trying to imagine the coolest thing ever? Because I feel like there was a fair amount of like creepypasta or no sleep stories that had this like, that were just like, I'm an assassin, or I killed somebody for money, or, you know, they just trying to be really cool. It was more like an action movie kind of thing. Maybe he was facing it out. Yeah, it's very edgelord-y. Okay, I was a little. How much of an edgelord do you think you were at 13? I was a bit of an edgelord at that age. Especially since like my parents actually got divorced like right around the beginning of, like literally like I think my first year of middle school. And then my dad who I lived with got remarried around the end, like the last year of middle school. So, you know, I had a lot of that preteen angst. Edgelord faces now. Wore black in the side part. Ugh. I didn't wear like, I don't think I had like a super edgy like emo or punk kind of fashion or anything. I think I was just kind of like dirty. But I definitely had like I remember I used to get in trouble with my dad because he was like, ugh, your hair's always covering your face. I'm gonna make you cut it. And I was like, no, I don't want to cut my hair, Dad. And he eventually did make me cut it. I was very upset. I was very mad. Or I remember like even around like the end of, you know, elementary days, you know, very early preteen days, some of my, you know, I kind of got into that like, I feel like this is kind of an older cliche of like, you know, it's kind of like the one-winged angel thing of like drawing like, you know, an angel with like bleeding wings or like one wing or like all bandaged up or something. Yeah. I mean, like, it's not like it was all bad. It's just, like, you know, a lot of changes happening when you're already at like a volatile time. You want to know some, this is really embarrassing. The pictures of their wedding, there's none of me smiling. But honestly, it wasn't like I was mad about their wedding. I think I was mad about the haircut. Because I think the haircut was the same time. I think it was like the summer between like middle school and high school. I was so mad. And also like, because I'm not very girly and stuff like that, I don't know. It's just, there was just some other stuff that was going on, which I just didn't feel like I was being like listened to or anything like that. Or like, it's always been like a weird thing where in my family, it's kind of funny. My dad and my brother, you know, my two biological family, you know, they're both guys. And then on the other side is like my stepmom and stepsister, and they're both girls. So like, sometimes when we get divided up for like activities, it's like, okay, girls go do this. And it kind of feels a little bit awkward. Like, even though I like them a little bit, you know, they're not terrible or anything. It's just like, I feel like I'm closer to my brother and my dad. So it kind of sucks to get like divided that way. And I guess kind of symbolically too. It's kind of funny. My dad and my brother have the same first initial, and my stepmom and stepsister have the same first initial, and I have a completely different initial from both of them. So I'm just like, you know, I feel like I'm always kind of like put kind of in the middle there. So, you know, I definitely think that was part of my own teen angst. And I talked about it, I think, one of my last streams too, how I was always like, it was very awkward about like, you know, puberty body changes, because I'm not like, you know, I'm not the most like girly girl. I'm not a tomboy or anything. I'm just not very girly though. You know, so like I felt very uncomfortable about like boobs and all that, and acne and being a little slimy grease ball. All right, we got to go to the birthday party. Jeff, it's the day, she said as she opened the curtains and let light flood into his room. What's today? Asked Jeff as he stirs awake. Why, it's Billy's party. Now he was fully awake. Mom, you're joking, right? You don't expect me to go to some kid's party after. There's a long pause. Jeff, we both know what happened. I think this party could be a thing that brightens up the past days. Now get dressed. Jeff's mother walked out of his room, downstairs to get herself ready. Oh, excuse me, I feel like I have like a burp welling up, but it's not ready to come out. He fought himself to get up. He picked up a random shirt and a pair of jeans and walked downstairs. He saw his mother and father all dressed up, his mother in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought, why would they wear such a fancy clothes to a kid's party? Yeah, why are they going to the kid's party? Like, just do a little swing by. Son, is that what you're going to wear? Said Jeff's mom. Better than wearing too much, he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him. and hid it with a smile. Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed, but this is how you go if you want to make an impression. This is totally a kid's angst. You know what I mean? Like, oh, mom's making me get dressed up to go to church or to go to picture day. Like, oh, you know, I think everybody's had that. Like, their parents be like, you're wearing that? Ugh, stop hassling me, Mom. I don't have any fancy clothes, he yelled downstairs. Just pick out something, called his mother. He looked around his closet for what he would call fancy. He found a black pair of dress pants he had for special occasions and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it, though. He looked around and found only striped and patterned shirts, none of which go with dress pants. Finally, he found a white hoodie and put it on. Stop wearing shorts? Well... I mean, I guess it depends how cold it is. Ugh. Don't hassle me, Dad. I'll get sick if I want to. You're wearing that? No time to change. Let's just go, she said as she herded Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked on the door, and it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults, no kids. Kids are in the yard. Jeff, how about you go and meet them? Is Billy his age or not? Or is he like a kid, or is he the same age? Jeff walked outside to a yard full of kids. They were running around in weird cowboy costumes and shooting each other with plastic guns. He might as well be standing in a Toys R Us. Toys R Us rules, man. I love going to toy stores. Suddenly, a kid came up to him and handed him a toy gun and hat. Hey, wanna play? He said. No, kid. I'm way too old for this stuff. The kid looked at him with weird puppy dog face. Please? Said the kid. Ugh, fine, said Jeff. He put on the hat and started to pretend to shoot at the kids. At first, he thought it was totally ridiculous, but then he started to have fun. It might not have been super cool, but it was the first time he had done something that took his mind off Lou. So he played with the kids for a while until he heard a noise. A weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence on their skateboards. Man, these kids rule at skateboarding. Jeff dropped the fake gun and ripped off the hat. Randy looked at Jeff with burning hatred. Hello, Jeff, is it? We have some unfinished business. Jeff saw his bruised nose. Yeah, why didn't these kids, like, rat out who it was? Like, did they think that they were gonna get the jump on him or something? Didn't he stab this kid? It's only been like a couple days. Why is he skateboarding? I beat the crap out of you. I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you. And you get my brother sent to JDC. Randy got an angry look on his face. Oh no, I don't go for even. I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that one day, but not today. And as he said that, Randy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose. I mean, did it say where he got stabbed? Like maybe it was just a little scrape, you know what I mean? Stabbed makes me think of like an actual like knife in the gut or something. Kids were screaming and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith both pulled guns out of their pockets. No one interrupts or guts will fly, they said. Are they threatening the adults? Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed it into his shoulder. Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy started kicking him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabs his foot and twists it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up and walked toward the back door. Troy grabbed it. I can't believe this is like still one of the most popular creepypasta. The story sucks. Well, they're nothing scary. Jeff's screen fell to his knees. Blah blah blah. Need some help? He picks Jeff up by the back of the collar and throws him through the patio door. As Jeff tries to stand, he is kicked down to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he starts to cough up blood. Come on, Jeff. Fight me. He picks Jeff up and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes the glass over Jeff's head. That's way harder than it looks. Oh man, how much more are they gonna... Oh my god, there's so much fighting. Oh man, I'm giving up. I'm crashing out. This story sucks. It's not... It doesn't even suck enough in like a cringy way. You know what I mean? The story sucks. Hey, we got unfinished business here. I don't know. Do you guys have a story you want to read? SCP? Creepypasta? There's a couple others we could read. I could read an actual good one. There's a couple here that I don't recognize. Good job, 13-year-old. You did it. Ay, ay, ay. I'll talk about work for a minute, though. Yeah, the author might have been younger, because they might have thought, like, 13-year-old. You know, they're like, oh, in 2 years, I'll be badass like this. But I get it, you know. At least I didn't write this cringy stuff and it became well known. Man. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta age up the character just a little bit. You don't want to make them actually exactly your age, because then, you know, people will figure out how old you are. Ugh. I still haven't decided about quitting my job or not. I should probably try to stick it out a little while longer. Part of me, like, every now and then I get, like, I don't know, I've just been, like, in such a bad mood about my work and stuff. Some of the people in my work are a little crazy, though. Like, I'm not, like, with the rest of my team doesn't really have, like, quite an organized, or, like, a centralized desk area. Oh, yeah, it watched from the roof. Okay, okay. I'll look that one up. I would not be able to find work. In fact, oh, you know what? I did, one of the good things I did do was, I did kind of reach out to somebody who I used to work with, a friend from work from a couple years ago. And I was like, hey, how's it going? You know, you still working there? Because I couldn't remember what his deal was. And he was also working in, like, a research lab. And basically, they finished their projects and then their, like, the head of their department, their PI quit. Or not quit, he retired. So it was kind of like a planned thing. And he was like, yeah, he's like, you know what? It genuinely looks so dire for research right now that he was going back to school to do something a little bit different. So, you know, I talked about, I hadn't really been reaching out to very many of my former friends from work and stuff just because, like, I don't know, I felt so kind of crappy about where I was in life that I was like, I didn't really want to see them until, you know, I got shit together a little bit. But, you know, it definitely is like, okay, you know, not just me. I think sometimes when, you know, I'm being depressed or whatever, depression is one of those things where, like, it can make you overly focused on yourself sometimes. And it's like, okay, other people have problems too. Which is good, because when I'm depressed, I want everybody else to suffer. I'm kidding. I don't want my friend to be jobless either. I mean, he's going back to school. I can't remember how old he is, because he's a couple years younger than me, but he might... I think he... I didn't ask exactly, but I don't think he'd be able to be on his parents' like health insurance anymore, because I think in the US that cuts off at like 27. Wait a minute, what happened to the thing? Oh well, that's fine. I just noticed something disappeared from my background. But it's okay. Oh, you know what else is good news though? It's holiday season time, so they brought back the limited edition Shirley Temple 7-Up. At first I wasn't sure that I liked it still, but I had a little bit more and I'm like, yep, it's still good. And it's gonna be Thanksgiving soon. I was thinking about doing hand cam stream for Thanksgiving, because I have that day off actually. I have to work on Friday, but I did get Thanksgiving off. But there's no family in the area, so like, I don't know. Maybe I'll make myself a little Thanksgiving meal. Not cook it, just kind of buy some pre-cooked stuff. But you know, people are going crazy at the stores and things like that, so maybe I'll try to go grocery store early tomorrow. Alright. It Watched from the Roof by Head of Spectre. There's really big ads on this website. I don't like that. I don't need to see these bikini ads. Well, it's not a bikini ad, it's an ad of like celebrity stuff. I had the house to myself. My parents were spending the weekend in Toronto, and I'd spend the day hanging out with my girlfriend, up until I dropped her off at home later that evening. It was an ordinary day, as close to perfect as possible. I took my girlfriend home at around 8 p.m., then got back to the house to relax, prepared for a night spent chilling out in the basement, watching movies alongside Charlie, my brother's dog. He's an anxious little bastard, and he likes the company. I've known dogs like that. Naturally, Charlie wanted to go outside the moment I came in. Usually he's all over himself, jumping up and barking, and this wasn't an exception. Went to the back door and opened it up, letting him loose upon the frozen snow that covered our backyard, then hung around to let him back in when he inevitably got cold 5 minutes later. You just know it's like a small dog, too. Maybe I was impatient, or perhaps he was taking longer than usual. Wasn't watching the time after all. After a while, however, I opened the door to call out to him. Figured he'd come running like he usually does, but for some reason, he didn't this time. I waited at the door a little while, looking around to see if I could spot him. He was outside, all right, by the shed we have near the back of the yard. Standing in the corner, staring at the house. He didn't move when I called to him. He just stood there, motionless on that frozen snow in the moonlight, staring at me. I left him for a little while, figuring that he didn't want to come back in. Stole a piece of some cherry cobbler my mom had put together and screwed around on my phone. Went out to the living room to watch some TV, figuring Charlie would probably want to come in eventually. Just started a rerun of The Simpsons when I thought I heard a scratch on the door. On instinct, I got up to let the mouthy bastard back into my house. When I looked, he still hadn't moved from his spot on the shed. I could see the light reflected in his eyes. Not gonna lie, that was a bit creepy. I opened the door to step outside, calling out to him, hoping that maybe he would come running. He just stayed there, stock still. That's about at the point where it dawned on me. He looked off. Didn't have a clear view of him, just of his head and eyes. In front of what I assumed was his body, but looking a little closer, it appeared as if his body was prostrate, but his head was perfectly upright. Was it just some weird contorted pose? In the past, I'd seen dogs do that sometimes, but right on the ice? Took a step off the porch, but as I did, I noticed something. I could see ice between his head and his body. Not a piece of ice. I could see the ice behind him. Took my brain a minute to process it all before the truth dawned on me. Charlie's head and body were no longer attached. His body lay limp by the shed, and his head impaled by what looked like a branch. No, Charlie! From the porch, I hadn't been able to distinguish it from his black coat, but from my new vantage point, I could see it clearly. Took a step back, swearing, and turning towards the house. Wanted to get back to the safety. That's when I'd saw it. We'd stripped down the gazebo on the porch in preparation for winter weather, leaving it a metal skeleton covered in ice from the recent freezing rain. Now, I could see that cheap metal buckling under the weight of the creature that stood tense on top, crackling the thin layer of ice, and staring at me, and blinking eyes that reflected what little light there was back at me. It wasn't an animal. I don't know what the hell it was, and I didn't get a good look at it before it lunged at me. Tried to run, skidding backward onto the ice, and that thing just landed just a few feet away from me. I didn't waste my time watching it. Tried to bolt for the door, expecting myself to slip and fall with every step, as I didn't exactly have solid footing. Maybe the thing didn't either. I heard a noise behind me, a scream, like a person, but wrong. Sounded pained and garbled. Made my head hurt. I slammed the door behind me as I got inside, locking it, staring out at the thing that had attacked me. It stood, almost 8 feet tall, with long, scrawny limbs and bulbous eyes that didn't look like they blinked. Its skin was gray and tight against its body. With every breath, I could catch glimpses of its rib cage. Its hands had long, bony fingers, each ending in a disgusting nail. I could see the dried blood on them. It stared at me through the glass, and I could swear it was smiling at me. For a moment, I'd expected it to try and break in. After all, the glass wasn't all that hard to break. I'd done it myself once, in fact, when I'd been locked out. The creature turned away, crouching down on all fours, and loped towards Charlie's body. I watched as it grabbed the corpse and looked back at me, before starting to drag it towards the door, trailing blood all the while. That thing wanted me to watch as it tore Charlie apart and feasted on him. It looked at me as it did its work, and I watched in quiet horror. Didn't seem to react when I took out my cell phone and called 911. Told the operator there was an aggressive animal outside my house. Lied and said it was a bear, though by that point I was confident that it was nothing I'd seen before. The thing watched me throughout the entire call. Didn't get the impression that it understood what I was doing. That at least was to my advantage. Didn't seem to think of just breaking the glass. I didn't want to watch what it was doing to Charlie, but I also didn't want to take my eyes off it just in case. The emergency responders asked me to stay on the phone. That was just fine by me. I waited, sickened and engaging this thing in a surreal staring contest. My earlier suspicions were then confirmed. It never blinked. Not once. I watched its teeth, its lengthy, uneven, carnivorous teeth, tear into the meat of my brother's dog, and listened to the sickening, ripping noises. I don't know how long we stayed like that. Let me take a little sippy. Heard the sirens not too long after. Don't know how much time passed, as I didn't bother to look at the clock. I was too afraid to take my eyes off that damn thing. A moment later, the sound of sirens drew its attention, I saw it leap suddenly, up onto the roof. Its claws scraped against the shingles, and I followed it towards the front of the house, where I caught a glimpse of red and blue lights approaching. By then, there was no sign of the creature or any more sounds from the roof. I watched one of the police officers come up to my walkway, his partner trailing behind, before breaking off to head towards the gate leading to the back. The lead officer headed to my door. He was about to knock when he noticed me waiting in the driveway. Huh? I opened it just a crack. "It's on the roof!" I cried out, helpless to conceal my terror in the voice. Before the officer could respond, the strangled cry of his partner rang out, alongside the hellish shriek of the creature. I cursed and pulled my door closed again, watching as the officer drew his weapon and went around back. I locked my door, tried to follow his location through the windows. I monitored him closely as he made his way around the side of my house, armed with a flashlight and a gun. Excuse me. Only caught a glimpse of that thing when his light hit it. It shrieked and leaped away as if burned, revealing the mangled carcass of the other officer. I could see the white of bone in the mess of red that had been rendered unrecognizable. Telltale thud alerted me to the creature's presence on my roof. The remaining officer spun around, boots crunching in the snow, tried to follow the beast. He raised his gun but didn't fire. I heard scratching on the roof heading away from myself and the officer, which ceased a moment later. I looked back at the officer, who stumbled back towards his car, trying to retrace his steps. Perhaps he was calling for backup. Before breaking into a clumsy run, he glanced at me momentarily through the window. Scratching on my ceiling told me that the creature on my roof was stalking him. I followed him back towards the front of the house, rushing from window to window to get a better view. He kept his distance from the building, as if he could escape the creature's wrath. Reaching his car, I saw him open the driver's side door and then freeze, raise his gun, fire 2 shots into the darkness. I didn't know if he hit his target or not. All I heard was a sound of claws scraping along my roof as the creature retreated. Then the officer barricaded himself inside his car, and the waiting game began anew. Monster had made its escape by the time backup and first responders arrived. Paramedics took Charlie's body away in a bag, and another officer collected my statement. Then the cops, still around, I got in my car and hightailed it to a nearby hotel where I crashed for the night. Don't know what the hell that thing was, or what more it had planned. Don't think the cops know much either. So far since the incident, it's been quiet. Although if I listen carefully, I swear I can hear the sound of nails clicking on the wood floor outside my room. Dun dun dun. Kind of I feel like I would kind of group it into like a lot of stories that are like The Rake or like a, shapeshifter kind of skinwalkery ones. Definitely better written, but I'd still put in a fairly derivative creature. But I feel like that's the case with like a lot of these things where like they're trying to make it like humanoid and so vague that it kind of falls into this other category. Hold on a second. I don't know why, but when even though it says roof, my mind, hold on, I have a picture to add. Now. Reject all cookies. No cookies. Oh, come on. This is bullshit. Mm-hmm. Come on. This is immediately what my brain thought of. Even though it says roof instead of ceiling, when I was like, oh, I watched from the roof, and my old brain was like, oh yeah, this guy. Ugh, my mouth's getting dry. I think I have one more reading. I'm looking at it. It's a little bit long though. It's quite a bit longer than I remembered, but I might try to read it. Because what else am I gonna do, you know? I'm just kind of goofing about. Kind of want more soup. It's very soup mood lately. Well, I'm always in a soup mood, but... Oy. Oh, ceiling cat, it's our secret. I feel like that's a very, very old meme, isn't it? Pumpkin soup? I don't really eat that many, like, pumpkin things. Hold on, let me bring back the classic. I meant to have this on the TV, but... it disappeared. I don't know why. I actually got a pizza today, and I ate it and it was okay. But now I'm just like suddenly not feeling pizza. I feel very, very liquid based. I need liquid based food. Oh, I want to go up and get some more water and empty my water tank before I continue reading, if that is okay. Salad? Nah, I don't feel like a salad. Shouldn't have bought a new bag of carrots. Sometimes the carrots they get from a different place, they don't really taste quite as good. They're neither as bitter nor as sweet. And sometimes they're a little too slimy. Alright, give me a second. I wanna get up and go pee pee. You know, those stories were too scary. Now I gotta pee myself. Well, I don't have my BRB thing on this. That's fine. I'll burb.
What else should I be? Please don't take off my mask, revealing dark.
Okay, I'm back. There's like so much stuff I want to do and need to do, but I'm so tired. I'm so sleepy. Even worse, like mood and sleepiness is worse now that it's so dark and cold. It gets really rainy here in the winter too. I have Cookie. I just love being under a bunch of blankets. And my body is so tired from work. Although I think I'm a side sleeper. I think like on the opposite end, like whenever I sleep too much, I think that side sleeping kind of makes my hips a little sore actually. I have a little bit of 7-Up left, but I just got water mainly. You know, I was gonna talk more about work, but now I don't feel like it. Now I'm just like, you know what? Forget work. I'm tired of work. Ugh. This other story that I want to read is kind of long. But I'm not streaming too long, honestly. Work stinky. Work very stinky. Work hate. Work evil. No more work. Just live with mom and dad forever. And get buried with them when they die, I guess. That's the fate I've chosen. Ugh. I think I'll just read one more long story and then call it. I'm just kind of like, bleh. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Anything else on your mind? It's weird. Sometimes I just kind of want to sit here, like have stream running and just sit here, you know? Just because I feel like at least if I have stream running, it's productive in some way. I'm still kind of undecided myself if I'm like... I probably should think about it more seriously, but I just keep avoiding it. If I should go back to school or not for something different. Hey, what did I want to read? I wanted to read Anansi's Goatman story. I really like that one. Also, I couldn't remember if I took a shower yesterday after work, so I was like, okay, well, I better take a shower before stream at least. And now my hair is still wet, so I'm still kind of cold. Blah. Although it hasn't been very high on my like shopping priority, I kind of wonder if I should like, I don't know. I think to use like V-Bridger and stuff like that, I think I need a phone. Can I use V-Bridger without a phone? V-Bridger. I think I need, does it have to be an iPhone? Oy. I like this model. I think the only thing is like, maybe it's my camera and the fact that I don't have like a V-Bridger plugin where I feel like the mouth tracking could be a bit better. I could probably, if I knew more about how the parameters work too, maybe I could fix it. Anyways. Let's go. Goatman time. Here's my story. Be me. Be black and have family down in Alabama. They farm and own a huge amount of land down in Huntsville. Uncle owns a big house and a bunch of trailers they put in the woods for hunting and camping. Down south, cousins suggest we go out there to camp. Now I'm a city kid from Chicago, so they tease the fuck out of me. Collect food, kill a pig and some chickens, bring necessities to camp out for a few days. We get to camp and it's obvious something is weird. Air has this weird electric smell like before, or like right before a storm, like ozone. We think nothing of it and unpack and go down to the little creek to swim for a few hours. All of a sudden, some older white guy and some white teenagers come out of the bushes. He has a shotgun in the crook of his arm and says hello and asks us what we're doing this far back in the woods. Tell him about my uncle, who he knows. They were camping out. He tells us we need to be real careful out there and stick together because there was some big animal in the woods. His son, who is my age, asks if he can stay and hang out with us. He says okay. I'm gonna stop green texting because this story is fairly long and the format is hard to write in. If you don't know, he was using those little like end parenthesis brackets. That is more of a common thing for like 4chan. So this was from 4chan's X board. So we end up playing football, dicking around with me. There's this white kid, Tanner, 5 of my cousins, and then 4 of their friends. In total, there were 5 girls and 6 boys. We're all around 15 to 17, and we ended up just dicking the day away. Eventually, we head back to the camp and pull out some stuff for a campfire, even though the trailers both had kitchenettes. Tanner says it's his family's property. Tanner says his family property sits up against my uncle's. He wants to run home and ask his dad if he can come out camping with us. My cousin Rooster says he's going to go with him since it's getting dark soon. One of the girls also wants to tag along. It's about 7 o'clock and it's getting pretty dark. They grab flashlights and take the trail towards Tan's property. The rest of us chill, make s'mores, drink, kiss on the girls. About 30-40 minutes later, there's the smell of ozone again. You could notice it over the scent of the fire. Should have gone out. You could notice it over the scent of the fire we had started. It's a really nasty, coppery smell, like right after you've got a nosebleed and it's stopped. It wasn't exactly like dried blood, but it was that metallic back of your throat smell. We immediately think that it's some kind of electrical malfunction, or that someone left a hot plate on or some shit. We search the trailers and nothing's on, but we can all smell it. All of a sudden, we can hear people booking it down the path toward us. Rooster, Tan, and the girl come running into the clearing, out of breath. They don't even break stride. They all run into the trailer right by where the fire is. We all get the fuck out of there and into the trailers. They end up calming down. Even Rooster is crying his fucking eyes out at that point. All the while, the fire is guttering lower and lower, so my cousins say fuck it, and are about to go outside to get the generator out of the shed between the trailers. Tanner goes, fuck no, lock the front door, ain't nobody else going outside. He's been crying too. His eyes are bloodshot and puffy, and his pants are dirty as shit. He goes on to tell us that they went up to his house. His father said sure, he could go camping, to make sure they were careful on the way back, and maybe they should take a hunting rifle just in case. Evidently, Tanner had seen something in their yard a few days before. One of their pigs had been ripped up and half eaten. They assumed it was just some big cats or coyotes, but even though they don't usually fuck with live animals. Tanner went upstairs, packed his stuff, told his dad they'd be okay without the rifle, because coyotes avoid people. And they started walking back toward where we were camping. Rooster finally stops crying and shaking. Girl already had, but was now just staring at the window with a dumb look on her face. He said they'd gotten halfway into the woods toward the camp when they started to hear shit in the forest. It was almost pitch black by this time, and they weren't sure at first what the fuck it was. Girl says she heard something in the bushes right off the trail. They all beamed their flashlights over there, and there was someone standing in the woods in a little hollow. Rooster says they shouted at him, told him he was scaring the fuck out of them, and what a dick he was. He says that's when he realized that the guy was facing away from them. They keep walking, and they start smelling that nasty, coppery ozone smell. They say that they look off into the forest on the opposite side, and there's a dude standing there too, backward, slightly closer to the path. So now they start power walking, and Tan keeps saying, I should have taken the fucking rifle. As they're telling the story, the smell is still super strong, even inside the cabin. They say that after they started walking faster, a kind of low gibbering had begun coming from both sides of the wood. As they booked it to the trailer, the girl said she flashed her light out the side of them and saw something jerking itself through the wood. The gibbering just got louder and louder. When they could see the light from our campfire, it didn't come out of the woods about 40 yards behind them onto the track. Then they just flat out ran as hard as they could onto the trailer. So we're out in the fucking woods, and we're assuming at this point it's some rednecks or some shit trying to fuck with us. All of a sudden, my other cousin, Junior, starts talking about how he went to school with a native kid who was talking about Goat Man or some shit. We probably tell him to shut the fuck up because we don't need any of that spooky talk right now. But he just keeps going on and on about how it's the fucking Goat Man and how we're in his woods and blah blah blah. Now at that time, I'd never heard of the Goat Man or any of that shit. Then a couple years ago, the year before I graduated from college, I had a Menom for a roommate, and I ended up talking to him about it. And to sum it up, it's basically a fucking man with the head of a goat, and he can shapeshift and get among groups of people and terrorize them. Kind of like a Wendigo. It's bad mojo to even talk about it, and even worse if you see it. Keep in mind, I didn't know this back when I was 16. And my cousin's going, the Goat Man's gonna get in and fucking get us. Girls are all terrified, and my cousins and I are all fucking trying to figure out if it's just some hillbillies or an animal. All of a sudden, the smell just goes away. This day, I haven't even experienced anything like that. Obviously, smells usually fade or lessen, but it literally is just there 1 second and not the next. Ooh, you're gonna summon the Goat Man. So, it's after an hour. Making it around 9 or 10. We stopped shitting bricks enough to go back outside and stoke the fire again. We figure some asshole's trying to fuck with us, so we don't go back home because we think if we do, they'll chase us through the woods or some crazy shit. That's clearly a woman. I don't think it said goat woman, did it? Nothing else happens that night. I mean, I assumed it wasn't like a literal goat, but we'll see. Stay another night, and for the main part of that night, nothing happens. But about 1 in the morning, we're outside getting drunk and telling ghost stories. As someone is finishing some too spooky story, I don't remember what about, the smell comes back. It's so fucking strong that one of the girls starts vomiting. I stand up, and you can feel how clammy the air is. I say we should get inside, and that this isn't right. We should have just fucking left. We all go back inside, and we're standing around. My cousin keeps going on and on about how it's the Goat Man. Other cousin Rooster tries to shut him the fuck up. All the while, I'm just feeling that something is wrong. I can't figure out what the fuck it is. We end up sitting in there for a while. The smell is just as strong. We're terrified and all huddled in this camper. We end up cooking brats for everyone because nobody wants to go outside. One of those packs with 4 brats. We have a total of 3 packs. Grill them up on the stove and give everybody a hot dog. Then get mine. Oh. Hold on a second. Let me just double check. Oh, there we go. Ooh. Ding, ding. Where's my story? Here it is. After a while, one of my cousins gets up and goes over to the pot to get another one. Starts grumbling about how I got 2 brats and everybody else got 1. I look at him like he's fucking stupid. I tell him that everybody got 1 because there were only 12 brats, and that if he wanted more, he should open a new pack and cook some more. That's when one of the girls that's been outside with Rooster and Tan just starts screaming, "Oh Jesus, oh Lord, get it out!" Yeah, bratwurst. Little bratwurst hot dogs. She's crying and shivering, and then dawns on the cousin standing up what the fuck is wrong. Me and him both glance around the room, and I feel my heart fucking sink. Run out the door, run the fuck out the cabin, and the girl runs with us. I feel like I'm getting more southern the more I read. One of my cousin's friends asks what the fuck is wrong. I start counting. There's only 11 now. I shit you not, my cousin verified. There had been 12 people in the cabin, but being that everybody didn't really know each other, nobody knows the whole fucking time there was an extra person. Then I realized earlier that something was kinda, I noticed something was kinda off. You know how when you're dicking around having a good time that you don't sweat the small shit? You don't always keep track of certain stuff? I'm dead sure that someone else has been in the trailer with us, and that they were there for at least the fucking day eating with us. It makes it worse that I couldn't figure out who the fuck it was. I didn't think anybody actually interacted with the person, Goat Man. The girl keeps praying to Jesus, and we're all sitting outside. Eventually we all get big ass sticks and go back in the cabin, but there's nobody in there. We count again, there's 11 people. Go back in the trailer, lock the door. We explain what the fuck happened. The girl says she realized too, and that when she was about to say something, the person sitting next to her grabbed her leg hard, leaned over toward her, and said something she couldn't understand. So, we're pretty much scared to fuck, and we all huddle together. I fall asleep. When I wake up, the sun is just coming up. Half the people are asleep, and the other half are packing our shit up. We all want to walk home, but like 4 people want to stay until the sun is all the way up, and some people think we're just fucking around and still want to stay at the trailers. I just want to get the fuck out of the woods. The girl's name was Kara, the one the goat man had touched. Anyway, I asked her if she really thinks it was something bad. She says she just wants to go home. Doesn't want to be out in the woods alone for another night. So, we decided to split up. The 4 that want to go can. But I have to stay because I have the keys to the cabin. Not that kind of Kara. It's spelled Keira. Not Kara. From critically acclaimed indie darling Undertale. I have the keys to the cabin, and it's my uncle's. I have to lock up. I'm super pissed at this point, because I feel like people aren't taking this shit seriously, and I definitely didn't want to be out in the woods for another night. Spent the rest of the day trying to convince the rest of the people. Now 4 girls, 4 guys, to get the fuck out of Dodge. Tanner leaves with them to go get a rifle and says he's gonna be back, so there's just 7 of us left by 4 p.m. At around 5 p.m., he hasn't made it back yet. And we're getting extremely fucking antsy. Only reason I stopped begging them to leave was because he went to get the gun. At about 5:30 p.m. or so, the one cousin that did stay says that girl Kara's outside. We all look outside, and sure enough, she's standing by the fire pit with her back to the cabin. I'm thinking to myself, if she was so fucking scared, why the hell did she come back? Then I get that nasty feeling in my gut. Keep in mind, the whole time, the coppery smell has been gone. Now I realize I could smell just a twinge of it. I say this to the rest of them. Everybody. These people that wanted to stay in the fucking woods, after we had the goddamn goat man in our midst, is laughing at me and asking if I set this up to scare them. I'm looking at them like I'm not fucking bullshitting you at all right now. I asked them why the fuck I'd play like that. So, one of the girls goes outside to get Kara. She gets halfway to her and stops cold. Kara starts heaving. Don't even know how the fuck to describe it. Sort of like someone with their back turned was laughing without actually making any sound. It was this fact that made me realize there was not a fucking sound in the whole woods. Dead silent. This was like late September, so it was still fairly hot at the time, but super chilly some days too. And you could usually hear big ass geese honking or some birds and squirrels chit-chatting. Step out the door and tell the girl to come back in the fucking trailer right goddamn now. She backs up into it, and we lock the fucking door. We pull down all the shades except one, and put a guy there in a chair to watch Kara. She stands there for another 20 minutes or so. Eventually the guy turns to say that she's still there, and there's a huge fucking bang on the door. We all jump the fuck up and scramble around the living room of the trailer. The bang is super fucking loud. My cousin is holding on one of the girls. The other two are kind of giggling with nervous laughter, and me and the other guys are shitting bricks. Then we hear Tan. He's screaming, "Let me the fuck in! Stop playing!" Go over and open the door, and he stumbles in with a rifle. There's nobody outside. Evidently, he had walked up to the campsite. Nothing weird happened in the forest, but he had seen a girl. Mind you, he said it was not Kara standing there. When he had gone to the edge of the clearing, she turned toward him with a slack-jawed look and just stared him down, slowly tracking him as he walked around the outside of the clearing toward the camp. He said it wasn't until he was almost halfway to the trailer that he realized she was getting closer to him. She started off by the fire, and without him even seeing her move, she'd been turning, inching closer. He said he just ran the rest of the way back to the cabin, thinking it would open. When he got to the door, it was locked. He turned, and it was about half the distance to the door. He looked around the room, then got super pale. He pulls me to the side and whispers in my ear, "You know, there are only 7 of us in here, right?" I get that feeling that your stomach drops to your nuts. It had been back inside the trailer while we were sorting out who was going where. And then, when we all went outside to talk earlier in the day, it just slipped right back in. We look out the window and nobody's there, so we recount and then go over and ask everybody how many people were here earlier. Everybody says 8. And I say, well, how many are here now? They all do the count and realize there are only 7 people in the cabin. Tanner brought back a couple boxes of ammo and his rifle. He told his dad there was some kind of animal in the forest because he didn't think his dad would believe him if he said it was the goat man. Since his cousin is supposed to be coming down in a few hours and in the morning, we can all go to his place, and his cousin will drive us home. Now I'm fucking terrified, but I at least feel better because we can be American and shoot the fuck out of whatever it is that comes back. But then my cousin gets this huge argument with one of the girls because she thinks that I'm trying to be funny and prank them. She's getting really scared and thinks I'm not funny. He keeps telling her I'm not that kind of person. She says, well, how do we know the girl wasn't just Tanner in a wig? Or if it's really the goat man, how do we know this is the real Tanner and the goat man didn't just kill Tanner in the woods and take his gun? We get into a huge fucking argument about this where me and Tanner are like, we could seriously be in danger because at the very least someone's been sneaking themselves into our fucking trailer without us knowing and mingling with us. And at worst, something bad as fuck in the forest is fucking with us. One of the girls is crying and saying she wants to go right now, and we're telling her we shouldn't because none of us are walking through the woods in the middle of the night. At this point, the sun is starting to go down, and it's getting a little cloudy out. We need something and turn the radio for a while. Can't really get a station out here with anything decent, so we turned it off about the time Tan's cousin shows up. He was like 19, I think. Sun's just barely over the horizon and has one of those heavy-duty lantern flashlights and another rifle. He walks up to the trailer and whispers to Tan, asking if we whisper to Tan, asking if he sure that's his cousin. He says yes. The guy looks behind him all around the camp, then walks in. He kind of glances at all of us, looks a little confused, and then says, "Where's your little buddy at?" I figured she would meet me up by the cabin. She a little slow or something? He also asked about whether we've been cooking blood in the cabin, because it smelled like blood and hot pans all the way up the trail. And we're all like, fucking nope. We ask him what the fuck he's talking about, the girl he saw. We come down the trail, the same trail Tan had been using, and found one of you guys' buddies, standing in the middle of the trail, looking at him slack-jawed. He'd asked her a bunch of questions. All she did was just look at him. Then she smiled, and he kept walking. She couldn't seem to keep up with him, and kept lagging a little behind. He said he asked her if she was hurt or something, and if she needed any help. But she had continued to stare. Eventually, he turned around a bend in the trail. But when he went back to see if she was okay, the trail was empty. He'd assumed she had taken some shortcut through the woods to our trailer. We told him the whole story of what's going on. Half expected him to say we were full of shit, but he just listened and sat down on the couches in the living room. Tanner's cousin gets back to the girl. He says that when she kept trying to lag behind him, it kind of weirded him the fuck out. So he tried to keep her in front of him. But no matter how slow he walked, she was always lagging a little behind. He smelled this nasty smell, and it got stronger as he got to the camp. Eventually, it got really strong. She said something really low that he didn't catch. When he turned around, she had been right the fuck up on him. He stepped back from her. It was at this point he asked her if she was okay. If she wasn't, he offered to carry her back the rest of the way. She just kept staring. He said he reached out for her, as in to grab her on the shoulder, but he must have misjudged the distance, because she was off to the side of where he put his hand, like she had moved when he was looking dead at her. She's got that flash step from Bleach. To this point, we know this shit's real, unless Tan's playing a joke, which we can tell he's not, because he's almost pissing his pants. They load up their rifles, we eat some more, kind of just sit around until about 11. To this fucking day, I think about this. Really pray to God that it's some huge prank that my cousins played on me, and it just never revealed, so I would shit myself for the rest of my life. At around 11, the stink of copper turned to a really gross blood-like smell, like cooked blood and singed hair. Dan and his cousin Reese get the fuck up instantly and grab the rifle. There's like a half knocking, half crawling at the door. And I shit you not, there's this voice. Sounds like those YouTube cats and dogs where owners teach them how to talk. It says in this halting, weirdly toned voice, "Let me the fuck in. Stop fucking playing." Made my fucking nuts creep up against my body. And one of the girls just starts crying and calling for Jesus. It was so fucking obviously not a person talking. Didn't have the right cadence. That's some shit that I never realized until that moment. But all people have a certain cadence when they talk, no matter what language. All people have a certain kind of rhythm when talking. This shit didn't have any cadence or rhythm. One of those YouTube cats. That's what the fuck it sounded like outside the door. And then there's Link. Sounded like this, just not funny. Now, I'm in full-on terror mode. You keep yelling outside. Who is it? Stop fucking around, man. And it just keeps saying, in. Or, let me the fuck in. For almost 15 minutes. Then the smell goes away for a while. And for the next couple of hours, you can hear someone basically creeping around in the woods and shit. Every couple minutes, it comes back to the door and says something. Finally, the smell fades away around 2 in the morning. Reese says, man, fuck this. Opens the door and walks outside with his rifle. A YouTube cat? You want to hear it? I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard this. I do kind of know what they mean about how, like, some animals will kind of, like... Here's the link. Oops. People who make videos of, like, their animals that sound like they're saying human words. He fires a shot into the air and says something to the effect of, "In the name of Jesus Christ, go away." Fires 2 more times, and then from the woods, right up against the river across the trailer. Sounds like something is gibbering and hooting. Then it starts screaming. It sounds almost like a woman or a cat in a bag screaming together. Like, I seriously have never heard any shit like that. We can hear the brush over that way start to shake. Reese fires over into the tree line, then starts backing up into the building. We lock the door and we can hear this shit keening and screaming. Yeah, guns and Jesus. Reese says something had come out of the bushes, super low to the ground, was crawling toward the cabin. He had shot at it. Pretty much, that was how it was for the rest of the night. Literally, constant screaming for the next 2 hours and shit moving out into the tree line. But never came back up to the cabin until everyone had fallen asleep. Dan had been sitting in the chair, watching the door with his rifle. Nobody else heard or saw this, and he told me 2 days later after the whole thing was over. He said he'd been nodding off after the screaming and noises finally stopped. He'd been almost asleep when he saw someone come out of the bathroom and lay down in the middle of the floor and go to sleep. He just assumed it was one of us, and the guy had nodded off. Then, he said he kind of realized something was wrong, and while pretending to be sleeping, he counted us. There were 9 people in the cabin. He didn't want to try to shoot the fucking thing and have it kill us right then and there, or have Reese wake up and start shooting and us kill ourselves. So we just stayed awake all night, pretending to be asleep. He said sometimes it would stand up and kind of do this weird jittery thing, or heave like it was laughing, but then it would lay back down. The story closes pretty weak, because from my perspective, nothing happened. When we woke up, I noticed that Tan was a little jittery, and that he was avoiding looking at all of us. But we ate breakfast, packed up, and started walking to his house. He stayed last in the cabin and said he'd lock up and bring me my uncle's keys. He told us to start walking and that he'd catch up, which I didn't really want to fucking do. We got a little bit up the path, and when he came running up, we just jogged back to his house. His cousin took us home. There was a window in the bathroom. Han had gone back to lock up and looked in there. We were too stupid to lock that screenless window, and it was fucking up when he went in there. I'm guessing I'd been doing that all along, waiting for us to fall asleep or slip up and then getting in among us. He walked with us all the goddamn way back to the house, and then he said it lagged the back of the group, looked him dead in the eyes before walking into the woods. And that's the end. A little long, but I like that one. You should hear somebody actually do a good reading of that. I don't know why. I feel like, I kind of like the writing. It feels... I feel like this is the one where I get pretty immersed into. And I don't feel too much like... it's not too much like The Rake, where it's like, here's a creepy, spooky thing. It's kind of like, you're never totally clear what's actually happening. And nobody actually gets hurt. It's just kind of like... something is wrong the entire time. Think I did okay? Thank you. I could have put on spooky background music I think one of the problems with like a lot of those spooky background musics that people use though is that they're quite short. So you're either gonna have them looping more noticeably, or you're gonna have to like constantly like switch. That was one of the reasons why when I had thought about putting up like pre-recorded short videos like this, I always wondered like, should I add background music or sound effects or not? Some people do, some people don't. Or maybe I should have like music fade in at certain parts, but then I'm just start to overthink it and it becomes too much work. So I was like, okay, let's do this. Yeah, keep getting more southern as I go. I kept trying to like come back a little bit. I feel like towards the end though, I was starting to slip up a bit with my reading skills. But I don't know, I like that one. I don't know why I like that one so much more than like a lot of the other ones. Just feels like something a person would actually write if they had like this kind of experience. And I kind of wonder too about the name, because like I know Anansi is like it's like an African mythological trickster. I don't know if god is the right word. God or like mythical person. It's usually like associated with like spiders, I think. I have heard of like there's other kinds of goatmen that are more like, well, the goatman in this story, he kind of starts to tie it to like, I don't know, native mythology and legends. I have heard of like another kind of like goat-like creature, supposedly, like a goatman with an axe in I don't remember where it is, like New England somewhere. But this one kind of comes across more like I think he mentions Wendigo, but it comes across more like a skinwalker to me. There's a couple of like other kinds of like goatman types things, like looking at this goatman bridge, stuff like that. I don't know. I think that's still my favorite one that sticks with me the longest. It's been a while. Like I said, I like Pen Pal. Maybe I should just read some more of these on my own. There were a couple others that I liked in the past that I don't remember that well. Some of the really popular ones, I was kind of meh on, like Russian Sleep Experiment. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna stick around too much longer tonight because I started pretty late and I'm pretty tired. I should like read more SCP kinds of stories too though, just for myself. Some of them are okay. Although there was another one that I liked, but it's basically just a ripoff from Kurt Vonnegut. There's one that's called like, I think they call it like Red Ice or something, which is just a ripoff of Kurt Vonnegut's Ice 9, but red. Which I think is funny because like, I like it because I like Ice 9 as a concept, but it also kind of pisses me off that they just are like, yep, we know, we're ripping it off, don't worry about it. You're tired? You gonna take a little nappy? Oh yeah. I'm a little bit bummed. I read as much chapters of Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service as I could until I ran out of chapters. I'm not sure I would I don't know if they ended up, I don't think they licensed the whole thing. Let me see. Kurosagi. I don't know why. I thought it was like a more recent license, but I think that they actually licensed it a while ago. Until volume 14. Yeah. The re-release is Omnibus. Oh, okay. So did they actually finish licensing it? Dark Horse. Let me see. I don't know. There was like there was a period of time in the US where like they started licensing like a crap ton of things and then they would just drop them constantly. That's why like MPD Psycho never got like fully translated officially. Like I have most of them. Like, are these Omnibus 6? If it's Omnibus 6, which volumes does it actually contain? Tell me! Why is it so hard? Why won't they just tell my... Okay, so the Omnibus is new. They did... This is one of the problems whenever I start to read like manga or watch anime again is I'm like, I should buy that. I should buy some shit. Book 5. It is really good, so I am kind of debating. I only have... Somehow I managed to cram all my books into 2 bookshelves by like double stacking them. Oh wait, this one is... If 4 is volumes 10 through 12. 5, 13, 14, 15. Okay. 6 doesn't come out until next year. So that'd be 16, 17, 18. I think there's... how many volumes are there currently? I think there's a lot. I think there's like almost 30. But I want to read more of it. 31 volumes in Japan. Still going. I don't know if it's like active or if it's just like not concluded. Figuring out birthday. It's hard to buy things for family. Or like adults too, because you know, they already have money to buy whatever they want. Oh yeah. Oh. Hey. Do you have any ideas of presents yet? Sometimes I also think about buying a new bookshelf, another bookshelf or something. I should probably just continue to get rid of stuff too, though. Hey. I'm so sleepy. I've been a little bit braver recently in that I've actually tried to reply, comment to other VTubers on social media. Or even just like on the streams, just kind of like watch for a little bit and actually chat. Because I'm not usually like much of a chatter, or I don't talk to them. Talking to some other people. Fujoshi, Fudanshi, Gundam fans, Digimon fans, that kind of thing. Hi. Yeah, Digimon mention. Oh, excuse me. I'm getting very tired again. It's already 10 o'clock. 10 p.m. Should I stream tomorrow? What should I stream? I don't know if I'm gonna stream or if I'm gonna try to clean. I've just been really avoiding it. But like, I always clean like a little bit, but it's never enough. I feel like I accumulate waste and dirtiness faster than I clean. It's still the problem. I have been having vivid dreams lately. Yep. Sorry for short stream. Very, very short little stream. Well, in fairness, I do always say that I'm gonna cut back on streams and then I always stream the same amount. But just very sleepy cold. Oh boy. Oh, yawns. Big yawns. I hope you enjoyed a creepy pasta or two. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on a second. Where is it? Here it is. Stream manager. That's what I was looking for. That's true. I mean, different people don't always like horror, but someday it's one of those things where like I always felt like I should do like pre-recorded of these streams, but I'm like, you know what? Let's just be silly. Let's just do this. And it gives me something to practice reading and talking. You say that, but like to me, Project Moon games are kind of horror, aren't they? Or are they mostly like weird horror or like weird fiction, I guess, sci-fi or something? They're very... They have a lot of horror elements to them. At least I think so. Grotesque? Yeah, I guess, but like grotesque is a type of horror, right? Hold on, let me look. I'm like, you know what? I should stream somebody, or I should raid somebody. Ooh. How do I... Yeah. I will. I'll try to see how it works. Because I always forget how raids actually work. Yeah, me, raid, I would never. I'm also just taking a quick look to see like who's doing what. Because somebody who I was thinking about raiding, I was like, ooh. The thing is, like some of the people that I like to watch, I don't think that... I don't know. I'm not sure that you guys would appreciate them. You know what I mean? I don't know that they would like... I don't know that you would like their content, and I'm worried about like... You know, what's the point of raiding if the people aren't gonna like discover new people to watch or stick around? So, yeah, it's just like a... I know I overthink things, right? Big overthink. No, it's not that they're bad. It's more like... I guess there's always like another fear too of like... I don't know. Sometimes too, like you know, watching some other people's streams, I realize that I could also be more strict with some stuff. Some people are like really, really fast with like firing like... I don't know. Like timeouts or stuff like that. Like even for things that are clearly like they misread their viewers. I mean, yeah. Or like, for example, like some people I watch do play very similar games as me. But like also some of them are like even more scary or even more like Fujoshi content heavy. And I was like, ooh, you know, it's kind of like you guys kind of stick around and think it's a little bit silly, but like, I don't know. I just worry that like if I send you there, you either won't like it or you might be like rude to them. Does that sound mean? You know, just be chill. Just like vibe with whatever their channel's doing. I mean, I know I have to tell you guys that. But for some reason, I overthink everything. You bully them if they want to be bullied, but see, not everybody... But like, you know, what if they're sensitive? All right. You know what? We'll do it though. We'll do it for funsies. You are also sensitive. See, I am sensitive as well. I'm a sensitive little baby. Everybody has to be nice to me. Also though, like I always forget like how this is my other excuse. I always forget how raiding works because I'm always like, it says like, oh, raid, it gives you like a little raid countdown and then you're like, but then if you don't actually like end your stream, it doesn't do it, I think. So I'm like, ah, you know, should I go to ending credits? What should I do? Oh, I was just doing like the stream manager thing because it's confusing to me. Let me see if that works. Raid. Who the heck was that gonna raid? Will this work? Let me try it this way. Is it working? Do I have to end stream? Oh god, we have to end.